You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Evan Marc Katz. The 7 dating mistakes you're probably making and don't even realize it. Ladies, oh my gosh. The one, the only Evan Marc Katz is here in Life Check Yourself. Literally the man who had lunch with me when I was a little newbie dating coach. And I said, could you talk to me about being a dating coach? I probably didn't use that voice, and he said yes. And we've been colleagues. And even though we don't talk, Evan, I think you are one of the people that I will always call my friend. Even though I don't talk to you for years, but I get your Christmas letter, which makes me really happy. I'm like, what did Google do to Evan this year? Come on, Google. But the best thing is, ladies, like, look, people in this industry come and go all day long. And if you stay and you get to the level that Evan is, you know, it's not an accident. It's because he's literally the best. He is so brilliant. I'm going to read you his official bio just because I want to make sure I give you all the salient points, but he obviously works with ladies like you, smart, successful, strong women. He's been doing this since 2003. He's written 4 books. He's been the New York Times, he's been on CNN. He's got like 35 million readers to his blog. His podcast has over 2 million downloads. He's coached over 13,000 women, like literally all over the world. He's also walks the talk. He's super happily married. He's got like kids. He's a family guy, and he is here to tell you to be the CEO of your dating life and be a badass and get it done. So I'm super excited to have you on the show.
I appreciate the heartfelt, off-book, authentic introduction. And as we were saying right before we started taping, I'm so proud of you and what you've accomplished and how you have reinvented and endured over the years. So the feelings are mutual.
We're like, you know, coming over the, you know, the mountain and the battle, and there's me and Evan. We're like, yeah, it's slow motion, over 50, sexy, strong, making an impact. All right. So look, I haven't talked to you in a while. Let's talk dating industry stuff. What do you think, like, is the biggest new thing, new complaint and new solution? Like, what's really the state of the industry? Has it changed in 10 years? Like, is it harder? Is it worse?
Yeah, the state of the dating coaching industry, or the state of the union for smart, strong, successful women looking for love. Those are 2 slightly different things.
We'll talk about both of them.
Well, the dating coaching industry, I'll consolidate it and make it really quick. I've been doing this for 20 years, OG dating coach. I made it up. Lots of other people have proven they can do it. And I can't complain at the state of the union, but I think if you go on Instagram or TikTok, you'll realize, oh shit, anybody could give dating advice. There's
exactly.
no qualifications. There's no determinant as to whether it's good advice. If you have a big following, doesn't actually mean that you're good at what you do, that you care about people, that you have any insight into the opposite sex. So I would largely discount most influencers as dating experts and pay attention to those who are in the trenches, actually helping clients. That is probably my personal bugaboo, but no one is interested in that, I don't think.
No, I think it's actually a really important conversation, because for a minute I was dabbling on TikTok, and I was like, this is hilarious. This person's literally 25 years old and they're giving dating advice and relationship advice, and they had like 8 gazillion followers.
Yeah.
But I think for women who are in that state, which I think they come to us for, is like literally anyone who can help me. It's like when I hurt myself physically and I was like wandering around Los Angeles being like, is there anyone in this town who could solve my problem? And I think, you know, sometimes you're just fine. I'll listen to the 22-year-old, right? Like maybe they know better. So given the fact that those criteria that you listed are actually really important. And I think people should rewind and like bullet point that when you're hiring help or when you're listening to advice and you're in that frenetic state, like actually take a pill, chill, and like be discerning in who you listen to. Okay. So now let's talk about what's going on in dating for strong, successful women as we get ready to go into a new year.
Let's just validate everybody's experience. I have a new Substack channel that I call Lovesplaining, where I went back to my roots, which is writing, and I've been writing really it's like my old blog, but more thoughtful because I care about it more.
Yeah,
writing these longer think pieces about what women are going through. So there's certainly a perception, if not a reality, that dating's gotten harder, that there are fewer quality men, that dating apps, while they were designed to solve our problems, have only made them worse, that texting is anathema to real connection. And I think there's an element of truth to all of those claims. And so whatever you might be feeling is, as a woman who's listening to this, is perfectly real. And no one's going to gaslight you and be like, you're crazy. There's tons of great guys. They grow on trees. I think the problem is when we get too caught up in the glass half empty view of the world, and then we negate the possibility that you can and will find love. So my take on it is, let's say you're right. Let's say 90% of men are incapable of being your man.
Right.
Perfect.
Love it.
Now, all we have to do is stop wasting time on the 90%, focus on the 10%, choose one. And that becomes a more achievable dream than focusing on all the liars and losers and players and mama's boys and alcoholics that you are cycling through. It's true. 90% of them are just not your guy. That's okay.
I love that, because when your brain wants to find reasons why not, it will. So you have to seek consciousness and intention to choose, right? To choose what is possible and then freaking do something about it. Because, it's like someone wrote something on Facebook the other day. It wasn't about dating. It was just about her life in general. And she said, my excuses are stealing my dreams.
I love that.
I'm gonna know.
Quote that. I want to steal it. I want to quote that.
Yeah, right. And I was like, damn, girl, your excuses are stealing your dreams. And that is really true. And so you have to be courageous. And if you're going to be a strong, successful woman, don't just be strong at work. Be strong universally.
Well, that's the thing is my clients have one strong muscle,
right?
Their work muscle, and one really atrophied muscle, and that's the relationship muscle. Why? Because for whatever reason, due to your childhood, relationships have been a challenge. They cause more pain than pleasure. Ultimately, if everything's ever failed, why invest any more time in something? I could do something I love. I could walk my dog. I could take a hike out in nature. I could travel. I could make more money. And so we double down on the thing that works. We let the other thing atrophy. And then we'll go back to the original thing. We still want love. We listen for validation. So we follow influencers. We scroll through Instagram. We listen to podcasts. But what happens? Our life doesn't actually change.
Right.
Because we're learning, but we're not implementing, which would be like reading Shape magazine without actually getting a personal trainer, right?
Yeah.
And so we fill ourselves with, I'm going to heal, I'm going to learn, I'm going to go to therapy. And all the while, have you made progress in actual dating? No, we've largely avoided it. And so what I do, again, is, I don't want to certainly step on what you do, is I take all the stuff that you're learning from all these things, consolidate it into one place, and give people an action plan. So this doesn't just become navel gazing. We could actually find love in the next 6 months just by going on one date a week and choosing men differently.
I think, and that's how, and here's the thing. So, I've like expanded beyond dating, right? Because, and the reason why I did that is because literally people would come to me and I'd be like, okay, let's do that. My version of that. And then they're dating. And then I'm like, well, so now what do you want to do? I mean, that's like, once you actually understand there's a way to do it and you just have to implement consistently, I always say to people, it's kind of not that hard. You just have to be smart and consistent about it, right?
Well, hard is kind of a funny word.
Yeah, elaborate on hard.
Well, I will leave all double entendres out of it. What's hard about dating is we're overcoming our own emotional state, because we always think of dating as an accomplishment. I'm going to land a man who is my equal, but more, without my flaws. He's taller, smarter, richer, funnier, more impressive, probably kinder. That's the man that I want. And we spend all our time focused on landing the man, and we don't spend enough time on how we feel. And that's literally what I was writing about before, is you can, and you probably have, landed a partner who is taller than you and smarter than you and richer than you, and you weren't happy. And then you broke up, and you did it again, you did it again, you did it again, you did it again. And at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, maybe I'm not focused enough on my feelings, how he treats me, how I feel within the relationship. Do I feel safe, heard, and understood? Can I relax and let down my guard and trust that he'll be there for me and accept me in full? And in Love You, we try to help people focus on their feelings instead of ignoring their feelings.
I love this. Okay, I have two very important questions to ask you. So one of our colleagues, and I love this person so much.
Should they remain nameless?
They could remain nameless. But this is to the choosing wisely thing that you were talking about. And her philosophy is that there's like personality type, and all you have to do is like know what personality you are and know what personality they are. And then that's it.
That's a really
agree, disagree, agree, disagree.
Well, no, I think that's a simplistic version of things. And I think that's one of the things that's challenging about dating advice, is that, especially when you do it in 1 minute reels, it ends up lacking nuance, which is why I enjoy this conversation.
Right.
Because if you do your basic research on attachment styles, right, and you could figure out, oh, I'm anxious and I can't be with an avoidant guy. Well, that's true. That's a great place to start. That in and of itself doesn't solve your problems any more than I am INFP and he is ENTJ. Right. Or I'm a Capricorn and he's a Sagittarius. These are very, very simplistic models that don't acknowledge the most important things, which is feelings and connection, right? Because you could have two people who are on paper are suited. Oh, I'm more type A, he's more type B. Well, yes, that's better than two type A's butting heads, but that in and of itself doesn't get you into a happy relationship if your feelings aren't aligned with that pairing. And so to me, the thing women ignore are their feelings, and they consistently, almost without fail, look for the guy on paper rather than paying attention to, can I take a road trip with this person for 100,000 miles without a car radio and not want to kill each other, which is a better indicator as to whether you're going to be happily married. And I know you know, because I
did it. I did want to kill him every once in a while, but overall, absolutely not. Put on Tim McGraw's Shotgun Rider, but there's no fight. The fight goes out the window, and I'm like, put it on your makeup. That's me. I'm the Shotgun Rider, and I love it.
but that's the thing, and that's the thing that where you and I think can both speak from experience. Probably in another life, right, in our mid-30s, we might have been the kind of people who dated and then ended up killing each other because we were too similar. And we both chose partners who were a little bit more easygoing, a little less ambitious, right, who became good complementary fits. We got to build a life with different roles where we serve each other.
It's totally true. And I made the mistake. I mean, I married the other guy first.
Yeah, I know.
Right. And what's funny, this is a really important piece too, was that because I'm like proving your theory, because I went for what I thought was good on paper. I didn't become me. I wasn't even being me, because I was trying so hard to fit inside that paradigm of like what that person needed or wanted. Right. And it wasn't until I got out of that I was like, wait a minute. Like get out of the phone booth, shut off your
right.
thing.
And that's what I mean by listening to your feelings. Yes. Right. You were in that marriage and something felt off. You weren't getting to live out your dreams and ambitions because you were busy being the mom to the 3 kids. Right. And that is fitting a square peg in a round hole, and women do that for decades.
So sad. Okay, let me ask you this. I love this conversation. I'm like actually overheating because I love it so much. I'm not even having a hot
Not
flash.
even a hot flash.
I'm not having a hot flash. I'm just literally so excited. Okay, so now have you been watching The Golden Bachelor?
Indeed, I have, and I never watched The Bachelor, but I've been watching this season.
Okay, good. Of course, because like it's the #1 show ever in The Bachelor history, I think, or in the top 3 seasons. So because I literally cry. Wait, first of all, your mom found love like the second time around, right? Didn't she fall in love the second time around?
My mom's story, I don't want to take up too much time on your podcast with my mom's story, but my dad died after 30 years. My mom was widowed at 51.
Right.
Remarried maybe 7 years later. It was essentially a rebound. She went for the total opposite of my dad, but overcorrected. She chose a really, really nice, gentle man who she wasn't attracted to, didn't respect, didn't laugh with, right? Left him after 2 years, fell in love at age 69 with her best friend, who happened to be a woman. And they have been happily married now for the past 8 years.
And I love this story. I knew that story because when I watch this show, like my mom died and my dad found love. Literally, he's the same age, the whole thing. And every time they like light up with that hope, I weep because it reminds me of my dad, my stepmom, and all the women that we work with. So if you think about that show, what do you think it means to women in middle age who are doing that? Like, oh, it's hard. It's too hard. There's no guys, they're not looking for the 10%. What do you think it's really saying to all of those ladies, and how can they take it and make it work for them? What's the message you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've major problems with the whole concept of The Bachelor. And again, I know you're a fan. I know you. I
stopped watching it though a few years ago because I got so sick of the
podcast about it for a long time.
I did, and then I just was like, this is dumb.
Well, here's the problem with The Bachelor. I'll get it out of the way because I had to say it.
Yep.
Imagine there's a dating site with one guy on it. That's The Bachelor.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody signs up, sight unseen, and they're going to fall in love with whoever the guy is. It doesn't matter. They're going to fall in love with him in the next 6 weeks.
Because they're on an island and they're hungry.
Right. So 25 women competing for one guy in 6 weeks. The premise is so highly flawed, but it does illustrate something that I think you're trying to drive at, which is that hope springs eternal, that people, at least according to my viewing of this Bachelor, do get better with age, soften with age, are more self-aware. They're more cheerleaders for each other. There was less backbiting and sniping. It's really like a feel-good show. And this guy is so sweet, and he's not a unicorn. He's like, it can't be. There's only good women and one good guy. So my belief is that there's enough good guys to warrant it, especially if for women of a certain age who are surrounded by people who have given up on love, whose friends are in terrible marriages for 30 years. These are not your relationship role models. To ask your friend who hates her husband or your person who quit men to give you advice on love.
Yes.
So for people who believe in love, to me, this is a very restorative look at what's possible, regardless of what happens at the end of this. But I believe in these folks because they seem more sincere. No one's here to get, to be the host of the next Bachelor.
No.
You know what I mean? They're all here for the right reasons.
This is the first one and it's pure, and who knows what's going to happen the next, and they will do it again, obviously. And who knows what's going to happen, but no, it is so pure. And that's what's just so beautiful. Okay. So then, I mean, by the time this airs, this may or may not be over, but who do you think he's going to pick? And why do you think he got rid of Faith? Because I thought for sure that was his person.
I'm going to pivot to another reality show, which again, I said I don't watch.
What one? Because I hope I watch it.
F-Boy Island.
I was literally going to say, I'm like, Evan would never watch F-Boy Island.
I was told by a producer, you know how the Hollywood sniffs around, you should have a show. So I watched this show literally for education, and I got really into it. The very premise of the show, right, is that these are 3 women who are really attractive, really experienced with men, done with players, and half the guys on this island are nice guys and half the guys are players, and their job is to vote off the players and choose a nice guy to live happily ever after. And what do you see on the show? They always vote off the nice guys. Can't help it. Just not attracted to him. So what I worry for our golden bachelor, Gary,
yes,
is that if you pay attention to who he chose in general the most conventionally attractive women with the best bodies. No matter what he said about their connection,
right?
The people who got voted off were generally a little less attractive than the people who stayed.
That's true.
And no matter how nice he is, and he is a genuinely nice guy, heartfelt, widow with the tears, I think he's completely sincere. And I think he's blinded by attraction. And my concern is that he's going to choose the really, really intense, emotional one who cried when other people got dates. I'm afraid he's going to choose that one. And to me, that would be the only bad choice.
I think he's going to, okay, so I think he's going to pick Teresa, the older one.
I hope so.
Because I think that because he went through that loss of his wife, that he doesn't, I'm like so reading into this, that he would never want to, because he's 10 years older, that he wouldn't want to do that to these other two women.
I think you're reading into that too much. I mean, there might be something to it, but I think you could see the weight of these decisions. He really
oh my God,
right choice. He doesn't want to hurt anybody, but I think that's the problem. Is attraction, especially attraction in the first month, is rarely a good prediction of compatibility, and they don't have enough time. They don't have enough data to make these decisions. A guy goes on one-on-one date, one hometown date, and now he has to give her a ring.
Yeah, in Costa Rica.
Right. The structure of the show is such that it forces people into making ill-fated decisions. In my coaching, I don't know about your coaching, I tell everybody, you shouldn't sleep with him and he shouldn't be your boyfriend for at least 5 to 6 weeks in order to avoid making big, bad decisions. And these guys are having to get engaged in 6 weeks with all this competition. So the show is flawed. And yet, for any woman who's listening, who's given up on love, I find it inspirational, and I'm glad you do too.
I do. And the other thing I think that's really important is I really want to underscore this, is that most of these ladies are talking about, like, there's this aliveness inside of them that has been sparked, right? This part of themselves that they've muted, this playfulness, the sexiness, their femininity, all those sorts of things. And I think that when you think about, like, oh, it's too late for me, or, the risk isn't worth the reward. It's like, if you think about it as like, well, do you want to live your life fully expressed and access all parts of you as you go into the next part of your life? Don't forget that this is part of you, and you've turned down the dial, and I get that.
Right. And so when I have those experiences as a coach, my clients fall hard for a guy. 2 months later, he turns out to have some major problem that prevents the relationship from growing. Something like that just happened last night. Actually, a woman fell for a guy. He was really good to her for 8 months, and then discovered he was secretly an alcoholic that he hid from her, but she'd never been treated so well in her entire life. He was genuinely a good guy with genuine big problems. She dumped him less than a week after she found out, because she saw where this was going. She saw she couldn't save him. Right. And so she's all bent out of shape. Oh my God, maybe I'm sunk. Maybe I'll never be treated this way again. Scarcity thinking. And I said, hey, this is a huge win for you. This has unlocked what it's like to be loved. This is a stepping stone. Now you found this guy. You found this guy within a month of starting to work with me. I'm not a genius. You did it. So if you found this guy in a month, why would you treat him like he's the last man on earth? Wouldn't you like to see this as, oh, now I just need to find a guy who treats me this way, who's not an alcoholic? And
exactly. 4 letters of your best friend. Next.
Right. Right. And so, but that to me is the important reframe of, oh, having that affair with that guy on that vacation that went nowhere reminded me of what it was like to be in love. And so many people do come back to coaching because they had something that was ill-fated, and it awakened something inside of them that made them realize, why would I go to my grave without ever having loved again?
I love that. And so give yourself the moment of allowing, whether it's ill-fated or not, to like find that part of yourself and bring her out. And, don't walk away. It's Kenny Rogers. Don't walk away from the table. You just got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, when to walk away, or when to run. But you stay in the game.
Right. And what we need to do, at least again, I would guess that if we sat down and compared the things we teach, there's a 95% overlap, right? It's folding hands much, much quicker. And that's where we get into you're the CEO, slow to hire, quick to fire. Boom. Not my guy, not my guy, not my guy. You're recently divorced, not my guy. Just separated, not my guy. Long distance, not my guy. Don't have any money, not my guy. Like lots of people. I love
all that.
Not your guy. Don't waste your time. Don't sleep with him. Don't fall in love with him. Don't wait for him to change. Just pass, hard pass. And what does that leave you with? 10% of guys.
And as Evan says, you only need one.
Right.
At least for this format. Okay, let me ask you one last question. I had a client who asked me, and I'd love to know what your philosophy is. She was like, okay, I'm on Match.com. A lot of these guys are not looking for relationship. They're putting like open, they're not just checking that box. And she's like, should I only interact with the guys that actually have put that? Or should I be open because some guys are kind of silly and don't check the box correctly? What do you say to your clients?
I think it's a challenging question, and it's very easy to look at it from both sides. So I don't want to negate the other side of this equation. But if I'm sticking with my core philosophy, the one that we're talking about here, right, which is eliminating risk, predictable risk. If you're hypothetically, we get a different generation, if you're the woman who says, I want to have children, I wouldn't take a chance on a 40-year-old guy who says, maybe I'm open to it.
Right.
There's enough guys who want to be dads. Choose the guys who know they want to be dads instead of taking the coin flip chance that maybe 2 years later he wants to be. Otherwise, you invest 2 years in a guy who's a maybe who turns into a no. That's a risk you don't want to take, since there are enough men who actually want to be dads. I say the same thing about marriage. Is it possible that you could find a guy who is a maybe on commitment who turns into a yes? Yes. It's also entirely possible that you invest 2 years of your life. I have a client who's been with a guy for 10 years, lives with him, not on the house, not on the will, gets nothing. Right? She's never going to be married, doesn't have the courage to leave. This is what we're trying to avoid. If you want the whole thing, the whole enchilada, including marriage, settling down, being that little old couple in your 90s who hold hands, if you want that, then hold out for that. There's a guy who wants that too.
Oh my God, I love that. I was in last year in Australia, and we went to this really cool town called Byron Bay, and it's like by the beach, right? And Jeremy and I were going for a walk, and there were all these couples of like all literal sizes, shapes, and ages, just walking in the little moonlight on the little path and holding hands. And I just thought, everyone has the capacity for love, and everyone has someone out there who's wanting to find their person to hold hands with. And so for all the women that are listening, they're so like stuck, like I always say that there's a guy out there who's like, I just want to meet someone who's like confident, who's amazing, who's working with Evan, who like has her shit together, who doesn't play games, And I think that this, I hope, ladies, is giving you an understanding that if you have a process and a structure and you have hope and you just implement and have guidance along the way, then it's a matter of time.
Yeah. And that guy doesn't know you exist, and he can't find you when you're working remotely for 50 hours a week. And he can't find you when you're at the spa with the girlfriends or on your yoga retreat or at book club or whatever it is that makes you happy and fills you up. It's not, you don't have to drop your life to date. We're just talking about like a half hour of online dating a day and 1 date a week. If you could put in that time, the way you put in a half hour to cardio every day, you can find love in the next 6 months. It's a very achievable goal, but you need to put in that time.
Here's the thing. So this, I'm always like, let me tell you, ladies. And so it's like, well, I'll fit it in when he's there. And I'm like, okay, well, if you have the time when he's there, like, why don't you put that time now to finding him?
You said it in more words. My saying is, you don't make time when you meet the right guy. You make time to meet the right guy.
Oh, you say it so much better. You're better at marketing.
I've had time to refine it, but it's the same idea. Great minds, Marni. Great minds.
I love it. Okay, my last question for you. Do you think that it is possible to go on one date a week from one source? Or do you recommend that ladies are like on a couple of apps and maybe like a Match? Or is there some like secret new like app that, you know, that where all the good guys are? Like, what's that like for you?
You already answered the question. Is there a secret app that nobody told you about that's eliminated the 90% shitty guys and there's only good guys? The answer to that is no. You have to sift through the shitty guys to get to the good ones, right? But there's no one place to go. I would ask the contrary question. How many gyms do you have to belong to lose 15 pounds?
Just one, my friend.
Just one. So if you can find a site where there's enough people, and it doesn't matter what it is, Match or OkCupid or Plenty of Fish or Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, does not matter, right? All that matters is that you have a process for marketing yourself, differentiating yourself from other women, screening men for quality, not quantity, learning to get out of texting to make real connections, ideally by phone or FaceTime, so that by the time you go on a first date, he's bought into you, you're bought into him. That first date feels like a second date. And if you could do that once a week, and my clients in their 70s do that once a week with one dating site, you can and will find a partner to love you unconditionally.
Amen. Praise the Lord. Mic drop. If I could drop my mic, I would. Evan, you are a legend. I love you. I can't wait. I'm going to text you at the end of the finale of The Bachelor. And also, are you watching F-Boy Island right now, currently, season 3?
Oh, I didn't even know about season 3. I will check that out. Before we go, I got a gift for your client.
Oh, yeah, of course. Tell me your gift. Tell me your gift.
It's special report. 7 massive mistakes you're making in dating, specifically for smart, strong, successful women and listeners to your Life Check podcast. Go to evanmarckatz.com/Marni, and you can get this special report delivered to your inbox. And these are all things that are essentially blind spots that we all have when it comes to dating, relationships, and men. And if you read this and 4 out of 7 resonate with you, then hopefully the free advice that I give you will get you from point A to point B to point C. You do not have to find him today, tomorrow, next week. Just realize this road is one step at a time. And as long as you're doing something rather than just listening, you're taking action, great things are possible for you.
I love that. So the link will be in the show notes. Share this with your friends. This is such great advice. And I love that gift because this episode or this podcast is called Life Check Yourself. So this is a great tool in which you can actually implement that check. Evan, thank you for being here. I'm so happy that we reconnected, and you're just the best. You can find me on Instagram, Marni Battista _ on Facebook. I'm old fashioned, Marni Battista. And definitely, so are you still on TikTok, Evan? I know you were like crushing it over there. Are you still on there?
I got banned from TikTok.
From what? What? How? What did you do?
I think it was the striptease. No, honestly, I had, I don't know, 35,000 followers there in like less than a year. And I put a link in my bio to apply to Love You, and TikTok didn't like it. And instead of saying you can't put a link, suspend me until I remove the link, they just banned me. And I had to abandon the account and start a brand new one, which hasn't done as well. So if you want to find me, you're better off finding me on any platform. My Love You podcast, Instagram, real Evan Marc Katz, blah, blah, blah. I'm Googleable.
Blah, blah, blah. Evan, just Google it, man.
I'm very Googleable.
20 years, people. Look at that face, though. So cute. Ladies, love you. See you next time. And don't forget, whatever you do, life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen,
heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Battista, and let's talk soon.